Ayush, Ayush, please make me the host. I think I have made you the host by mistake.
Right, sir. I was also thinking of it.
Make me the host. I will make Rahul Sir the host. Okay. Anyways, people, a very good evening, a very warm welcome to all of you. There was a little delay here because I have become the I have become the host. Okay, Rahul Sir is here.
Yes, sir, I'm here. Good evening,
सर
everyone.
ये होस्ट का तो ऑप्शन ही नहीं है
कोई
कोई
बात
दिक्कत
नहीं, आप होस्ट बोलो सर, कोई दिक्कत थोड़ी. No problem. You be the host.
Okay, guys, a warm welcome to Rahul Sir. Rahul Sir always has been there, but for people who are not familiar with this face, let me introduce Rahul Sir. Rahul Sir is a part of Bodhi Prep team. He has been taking quant sessions for our students, and he's also very good WAT PI mentor. Not many people know about this, but over in my association over the past 5 years, I think I have seen that he is a very good WAT PI coach. Being himself IIM Ahmedabad graduate, he knows the kind of things that these schools need. So he's an expert in this, and he has reached the UPSC interview stage twice. So he knows a lot
I have,
about.
I have
He
managed to fail all types of interviews. I have failed MBA interviews. I have failed job interviews. I have failed civil service interviews. So yeah, I know a lot about interviews. That's for sure.
right. So Rahul sir, I think we can start. Should I make any changes in the screen because I think lots of names are visible. So should I do something such that only we two are visible? Is there any setting as such that can be show chat previews, or is it fine? Like everyone can hear us and the session is fine. So we can go ahead if this is fine with
I
all.
think students can pin the videos if they want
Hmm.
on their screens. That can happen.
Okay. ठीक है एक
Hmm.
मिनट हाँ someone is chat में ठीक है. All good, sir. Okay, great. So we are good to go because it's more of a conversation between all of us. But I will keep it like a question and answer session because there should be someone who poses the questions to Rahul sir, uh, uh, because all of you will ask questions and then I will have to pass on the question, so it becomes a bit cluttered. So I would ask relevant questions because that question would be representing the questions of almost all the participants, right? So, Rahul sir, to begin with, my first question is that many people are getting scores in the range of 35, 40 plus. So, what
Hmm.
I and I have told people that whosoever is general category. So, again, NCOBC is a different thing. But to begin with, anyone who is in the general category and is scoring anything above 40, 42, 44 plus can expect calls from baby IIMs. At least he can start expecting calls from baby IIMs. Depending
Absolutely.
upon the other things like your 10th, 12th graduation and all those things, you can expect calls from the other IIMs as well. But it is too early for us to make any comments on that. So my suggestion is that anyone who is crossing 42, 44, or 45 around that range should think about WAT PI very soon.
Sir, I would like to add here, as a student, when I gave my CAT, I think mismanaged my GDPA preparation. Because what happens is, for the entire preparation cycle, the year and a half, we've been talking about CAT. So the elephant has been addressed. The big thing is done. And then over the next month, you have 3, 4 exams scattered around. Some of you might also be having your school, college examinations, this and that. So it gets really messy. You never, before you realize you're in January, the result comes out again. There is this buzz going around. So there can be a case. It happened with me, at least I know. By the time I realized I have to prepare, the interview was just around the corner. I think it was my SIBM interview, and it happens early Feb. I had not even started serious preparation for GDPI till then. And if you are someone who's scoring in the range of 40s, please understand. I mean, again, your score will be probably in the early 90s. To get into an IIM, you have to have a good GDPI score. So it makes all the more sense for you to prepare harder so that you get as many marks as possible in the GDPI section. So this time is crucial in terms of preparation, and preparation for an interview is not something that happens overnight. It is a process which takes time. The easiest thing that you can do is, we think, is talk about yourself, because that is the most that you know. But at this point in time, if I ask you to speak about yourself, or more than 50-60% of us will not be able to speak for more than a minute. 22, 30, 23 years of existence, but again, when you start speaking a minute, minute and a half, and you will miss a lot of important parts. Therefore, it is a process which happens where you keep refining your answers, you keep shaping your answers, you keep your overall life story, a sort of a vision, and that is what you have to present to the interviewer, right? So, yeah, as sir was saying, preparation at this point is critical. A lot of this preparation will happen with your inputs and our guidance, right? Till now, when you're preparing for CAT, you get inputs from outside and then you practice. You just try to repeat it. Here, it has to be the opposite thing. We'll probably tell you a repeated thing which you'll have to use for your own part of the story or for your own self. So, a lot of introspection has to go in, which takes time.
Okay, great. Right. So, yes, I mean, even I was of the same opinion that people who are expecting calls and they think that they are ready to, I mean, new IIMs, baby IIMs, or even let's say other lesser known institutes. So, yes, anyone who's expecting calls based on their profile can start thinking about the WAT PI. Sir, one common question that people generally ask me, and again, this is representative of, I think, almost all the students, that what should be their primary area of concern, because there are two areas that bother a lot to all students apart from the basic interview questions. They all know they can prepare answers for tell me something about yourself, long term goal, short term goal, why MBA, all this. They know that they can fabricate or at least get an answer written within 2-3 days. The problem that they all have is, what about academics and about GK and current affairs? Because they know deep within that it is practically impossible for them to finish brushing up graduation stuff within 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 days. And similarly, it is almost next to practically impossible for someone to go through current affairs and all those things within 7, 8, 10 days. So the problem is that if the time is very short, how to address these two concerns, the academics and the current affairs and GK stuff?
As far
On
as the academics is concerned, again, some of us also have this problem where we feel we do not have very good marks, right? So that in itself is bothering us. Please understand, it is not about marks and and how many 6 mark answers you can write. At the end of the day, it is a discussion. What is being tested is your knowledge, your understanding of the concepts is most critical, and how you are able to explain the concept. You might know something, but if you do not have the skill where you're able to explain to the other person what you're talking about, that becomes a problem. If you are someone who has a background related to management and you are not aware of the core concepts, then it is a bit of a question as to what you will do once you get into the MBA as well. So when you're preparing for academics, start from the very, very basics, right? So for commerce background students, it would be your 11th and 12th commerce starts first, and then probably some subjects that you're good with. For engineering students, it will typically be a first year concepts and start from there. Secondly, if there is something in academics that is contemporary, that is relevant to what is happening today, it makes sense for you to be aware of it as well. These typically would be your final year subjects, one or two major subjects. For example, some of you might have done game theory. Some of you in engineering probably would be talking about. I don't know what is going on in engineering, unfortunately. But again, if it is relevant, if it is something that is a technology that is being discussed uh, in today's marketplace, that is something that you should do. So basic concepts, good understanding, good representation of those concepts, and contemporary ideas are the two things that you should look at. Also, please understand, not all questions that are asked to test you in terms of academics. They are also asked to test how you are thinking in the given situation, right? So those questions will be answered basis your spending of the 3-4 years in your graduation that you've done. As far as current affairs are concerned, again, when we talk of management as a field, and you being an MBA, please understand your work role requires you to be aware of what is going on in the world. A war in a country might affect your profit of your company in another country. As someone who manages investment, you might have to completely overhaul your portfolio because it did not rain properly in a country. That is how interconnected this world is. When you talk of marketing plans, marketing strategies, you have to tweak it basis the state, basis the country that you are working in. So that kind of, at least the primary idea of The fact that you are someone who reads, you are someone who's able to understand situations and have built arguments. Those are the two, three things that are expected from a management student, because you will not be working in a void, you will be working with the world, with people. So, as far as current affairs are concerned, that is what is required. I think Brijesh sir has been sharing some video links and articles. Please read them. Secondly, editorials and op-eds of decent newspapers help a lot. Try to pick up arguments from there. If this happens, then what happens?
I would
Those are the
like
things that
to,
will be discussed in the interview.
yeah, I would like to add one thing, sir, which I have observed,
Hmm.
that in terms of current affairs, you will find that there are not many events in the world around the year. I mean, if you look at, let's say Russia-Ukraine conflict, it has been there since a long, long time. And if you read the newspaper for 3 or 4 weeks, I think you'll be able to pretty much understand what exactly this entire thing is all about.
Absolutely.
Same goes with Israel-Hamas conflict. Same goes with Article 370. Article 370 came, I think, in 2019. And yesterday, the Supreme Court, they abrogated and said that, no, this is very much fine and valid. So, you know what happens in current affairs? The same issue is going round and round for the entire year. So, if you take the number of current affairs that you need to be aware of, it would not be more than 10 or 12. If you cover those 10 or 12 major events, I think you are pretty much done with what is going on in the world around you.
Absolutely. Again,
I
the
mean, there
idea is start today.
start.
Start today, so that
Yeah,
over the next 2.5 months, you are ready with your current affairs. And whenever you read something, please have Google on, Wikipedia, Google, so that because there are references made to certain aspects. If you do not know the reference, understanding suffers. Also, that reference could be a good knowledge point that you should have. So whenever there is a reference to an to an aspect which is not explained, just search what it was, and that is all you need to.
there is one important question, sir. That is, what are the exact qualities that B schools look for in a candidate? Because see, many people they fear that they don't have communication skills. Many people fear that they don't have the confidence to speak. So everyone feels that they're lacking in something or the other. On the other hand, there are lots of people who feel, okay, I know this, I know that, my English is very good, my cats are very good, I have this achievement, that achievement, that's fine. But can you tell us that what are the qualities that a good B school looks for in a candidate?
Sir, this is something which one of our professors told us, and this happened before I gave my interview. So I went to meet a professor, and I said, "What should I prepare? What should I work on?" The one thing that he said to me and it stuck was, "We look at the right attitude, because at the end of the day, we are looking for students to teach. If the person is not trainable, that is a problem with me." So people who are humble in their upbringing, who are well balanced, that is the first thing that is looked at. And again, you would also realize if you meet that kind of a person, there is an instant likability for that person,
Correct,
right?
correct.
And just because you were not doing well in one part of your career and one part of your educational part, that is generally not a problem, as long as you are someone who can be improved. Things like communication, etc., etc., I think the last thing that last things that are looked at, because through your MBA journey, all of it you will pick up, right? But
Mhm.
yes, confidence in yourself, because from day one you will be pushed into that kind of pressure. So there has to be that confidence that you will be able to at least go through the 2 year journey that is required. Your ability to again manage that pressure, work hard, look at the larger picture and work accordingly. So these are the basic qualities that are required. But again, the idea is the attitude has to be correct. It has to be a learner's attitude, and that is about. I think that is the most important thing. Everything else you will learn in your interview. And I remember, sir, the professor shared with me a story. So he said one of the interviewers, they were actually having an actual interview, and this student comes in with a story of how his parents have been very supportive of what he has done, this and that. So that was the story. So he says, "Okay, tell me 5 good things about your mother." The student says, "She cooks very well, she helps everyone, she does not say no to anyone, uh, she is very helpful." The point is repeated. So that went on for some time. The student would come up with about 4 points for her mother, for his mother. So the professor then says, "Okay, now I'll ask you a question. This is the last question. You could not answer the previous question. Tell me 5 bad things about your mother." And the student started off, tuck, 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 tuck. So then we had to stop him after 10. Beta, ruk ja, right? Now, that kind of a attitude is not something that I would want as a teacher. A person who has a negative outlook towards something, is something which he will bring to class as well. The professor said that he did not rate the student very highly. But again, as I said, at the end of the day, a professor is looking for a student to teach. Everything else you will pick up, or they will make you ready for the industry, for the market. They are looking at, that clay that can be shaped into something that is present. Again, people who have good profiles, people who have good communication skills, yes, they are at an advantage because they're able to exude that confidence in themselves, and therefore their trainability as well.
Mhm. Okay, great. So, sir, one more thing that worries people a lot, and they have this feeling that my CV does not have extracurricular activities, it doesn't have internships and certificates and this and that. They feel that they only have good 10th, 12th, and graduation, and they have
Mm,
good score on the basis of which they have got a call. But now,
mm,
since going into the interview and they're competing with so many better students,
mm.
how would they compensate for that? Because they cannot do anything in these coming 2 months. What is your suggestion for them?
Again, if you want to compensate for something that you think you're lacking in terms of extracurricular activities, I would suggest you work on your strength areas. So for example, it could be hobbies, it could be a subject that you're very good at, it could be an area of expertise that you can develop by reading over the next 2.5 months. That can be done so that in the interview, you can divert the interview towards that area, and a discussion can ensue. Secondly, there are a lot of things for which you might not have a certificate, right? And you cannot write that on your CV or on the form that you will fill for colleges, but those things can always be brought up in the interview, right? I can say that I'm God. I cannot write it on my CV because I don't have a certificate, but while we're talking, I can say I'm God. Try to understand the example. So the point is, there might be things. You might be a class representative. You might have taken responsibility for college or professionally or at the in your home, and you might not have a certificate for it. You might have participated or won certain competitions for which your certificates are lost. Those things can always be brought up in the interview. Number one. Second, the idea for extracurricular activities is to see that the student has multiple facets to his personality. That can always be compensated through knowledge. So you can work on your hobbies, you can work on your special areas, you can work on your subjects through reading and present that knowledge in the interview. So that is something that can be done.
You know what observed here. So I will just to add to this, I have seen that many people, they always somehow they underestimate or underrate their hobbies and hobbies and pastimes. For example, if someone is fond of, let's say, reading novels. Now, reading novels is not an achievement and it is not an extracurricular activity. It can be at best a hobby. But if you are fond of reading novels and that reading novels has given you insights into human mind and human heart, and you know that you really it has made you a wiser person, a better person. In the interview, definitely this can act as a very, very good point. That is what I think sir has said. That
Sir, I'll share with you a interesting, not story, but a real life incident. So one of my dorm mates, he was from Bangalore, right? So ardent coffee drinker, had never had tea. So one of these evenings, we're sitting down having a discussion. So you're talking about getting into IIM in the interview. So I said, what did you do? So he had about 2 years of work experience. So I told my story. So what did you do? So I had written something in my hobby. So what had you written? He said my hobby was tea tasting. Now that gentleman had never had tea in his life, or nothing, not that he liked it, but in his hobby he had written it as tea tasting. Now when you consider tea, there are a lot of aspects to it: the economic aspect, the cultural aspect, this and that. So for the 2 months, he just kept reading about tea tasting. Whenever the form was opened and the hobby said tea tasting, out of the 6 interviews for the IIMs that happened, 4 professors picked it up. And for the next 15 minutes, they were just talking about tea tasting. There was no way it could be very. I'm not saying you go and do this. All I'm saying is they just want to understand your personality, and therefore there can be different aspects, as Sir said, where you have insight on something. Going there and repeating lines of a novel does not help. A parrot can do that. You have to show your growth that will be appreciated.
correct. So please, the one point that I would like to make everyone here is, please don't think that a particular thing that you have done is not worth. Many of us For example, I remember one student, I asked him in the interview that what is your favorite pastime? He said, my favorite pastime is to walk. And I was a little surprised. I said, man, what kind of pastime is this that you go for walk? Well, he says, when I go for walk, I start introspecting. And then he took the direction in which he wanted to say that he has become a better person or a better individual because he had that habit of walking and being with his own self. So what happens is that apparently looks like a very stupid thing. But if you look at that habit of walking and if you're able to elaborate on that, it could be a very, very good thing. So one thing I think you all should understand here is don't underestimate any of your quality or any of your thing that you feel it is ridiculous. But if put on paper and if dug deeper, it might reveal a lots of interesting thing about you. Sir, coming to the next question that people generally they worry a lot about, uh, they ask me often that do they really have to be honest with all the questions in the interview? Now, this is something little of a dilemma. But what do you think, sir? Does honesty always pay off, or are there ways of handling this honesty kind of a thing?
Again, I think it is not a black or white situation, it is a lot in gray. If you are dishonest about something and it gets caught, please be sure that your interview is done with. Once you are proven to be dishonest, no one will want to invest in you. This happened with me in one of the Citibank interviews. So this was for internships, and I said something which I knew I was lying about, and the person caught me. After three interviews, I was rejected just because of that. When I went for my IIM interviews the second time around, I was student in MDI. I wanted to show my work last year as a work experience thing. I also got certificates made, but for some reason at the end I thought it is not worth lying because most of your mental space is then occupied with ensuring that your lie is not gets caught. So I went in there and told that I was an MDI student, and that worked for me very well. This year, I am telling you, there have been instances where students have been sent back from college because their work experience certificates have turned out to be fake, or they have not been able to prove that they are true certificates. I know of at least three or four cases. I think Brajesh sir and I we were discussing. There are students who have been sent back after their admissions have happened, right? So when you are talking about honesty to that level, please ensure that you're honest about it. Having said that, there are certain aspects of your personality, there are certain aspects of situations that can be glided over. You know, I drive and I have broken a few rules, but I do not have to show that in the interview. That is okay. That is for me to know. That's about it. So to that extent, that it does not harm or it is something that cannot be proven. Honesty is the best policy. Something that can be proven, honesty is the best policy, and in certain aspects you can be diplomatic about it, which is fine. For example, do you like Narendra Modi? Now again, whether I like him or not is a secondary question, but in the interview I will always say fine, he's done a few good things, he's done a few bad things. That is not my honest answer, but it is a balanced answer, better than what I would say otherwise.
Okay, wonderful. Now I will ask the audiences, you can just pose your query, you can just unmute yourself. So do it one by one. And you can ask whatever question you have, because now I ask some of the general questions to sir, the questions which I thought bothers lots of people. So people, you can just unmute yourself and you can ask whatever question you have in mind. Here there is one question. It says at about 35, 37 score, uh, should you practice GDPI or give priority to your OMETs? 35, 37 score, I think it is general category.
See, irrespective of your score, it should not be an either or question. At this point in time, most of your information, most of the preparation for the written exam is done. You are in your fine tuning stage. So obviously, omits are important. Even if you're scoring 100 in CAT, does not mean you do not give importance to omits, because one of a big exam is left. That is still there to go. So do not leave that, number one. Number two, even if your score is in the range of 35, 37 things, there is a good chance you will be going for the interviews, this or that. There might be some students here who would have by now thought that you will take a second attempt. But again, if you do get a call, it will make a lot of sense that you're prepared for the interview and then you go. At least you're able to evaluate what happens. So I don't think it should be an either or question. I started this session by saying this, I made it an either or question, so I was focusing on moments. My GDPI preparation went for a toss. It should be, both of the things have to be started. Fine. If you're not very comfortable preparing for GDPI because you're not happy with your score, that is okay. But do spend time reading newspapers, preparing your answers. Do start that, and open preparation continue side by side.
Sir,
Uh,
can I ask something like,
Please.
please.
yeah, sir, I have 8 years of gap because I was graduated in 2016. And after that, I was in CA course till 2021. And after that, I started giving CAT.
Hmm.
So I'm expecting CAP calls this year. So how should I justify my 8 years of gap?
Just tell them what you were doing.
I mean, can I say just from the past 4 years, I was just preparing for CAT. Will it be fine or
I think since you're preparing for some other examination, it will make more sense that you which exam, what were you preparing for?
CA.
CA, sir,
See,
CA,
again,
CA.
you going looking to do your CA. You tried your best, didn't work out, but again, you want to have a future in finance. MBA is the next best way forward, and therefore you went for it. We had someone in our batch who had dropped for about 7 8 years. Who he dropped out of college, went to JNU, studied there. Then there was a gap of 7 years. He was into spirituality, so that is what he was doing. I mean, he did make it to IIM Ahmedabad. Rather than I think again to say that I was preparing for CAT for 4 years as it is does not sound very confidence building. CAT is not an exam for which you'll have to sit down for 4 years and prepare per se, is the general perception, right?
Got it, sir.
So
Got it.
better is just tell them that this is my life plan to get into finance. Step one is done. I'm trying step two now.
Okay. Now,
Okay,
see,
sir. Thank
I'm getting lots of questions here and lots of questions which are very much personalized in the sense that gap year and will I get this call, that call. I think, see, people, what we are planning here is that we are, it would be very difficult to answer all the questions because someone has asked that English speaking fluency. Someone says that I have lost touch with academics. Someone says that uh, do gap years matter a lot? So it is very difficult to take all these questions. But if I go one by one here, I think the English fluency thing has been taken care of. There is no need to worry about English fluency because even worrying about it is not going to solve the problem. See, you can't improve on fluency within a space of 2 or 3 months. And if you can speak English in which you are able to communicate yourself without becoming comical, I think that is enough. So don't worry about the English fluency part. I mean, being an English teacher, I think I need to answer that.
But again, fluency and correctness are two different things. Please understand, right? If you want to understand this, again, look at someone who's in their 50s, late 50s, typically in a good position in a PSU, and hear them talk in English. They are very, very fluent. Though they are grammatically wrong and pronunciations are all over the place, they are very fluent because they're confident about what they're speaking, right? So develop that confidence, fluency will follow. Grammar can be corrected in the college.
Right.
Bharat had a question, sir. So I think yes, you have a very
Hello.
good chance
Oh,
to year drop negatively affect the interviews. Again, let's focus on the positives. There is nothing like a negative aspect. If you're able to justify or at least share what you were doing, uh, it is not a problem. There can be circumstances which are not in your control for which you have to drop a year. So again, it is very subjective.
I
Should
think,
not
I
feel
think,
affected.
sir, I have seen that the drop year, I don't know why, even on different places in Quora, people are worried a lot about their drop year. I think the drop year will, if it doesn't add much, it is not going to take away much from your profile because drops do happen. And I think in our Indian psyche, we have this drop year as a very big thing. I think drop year should not make you worry that much because if you are good in everything else, the drop year is nothing. I mean, it's not going to matter much. So please, drop years, you can't fill those drop years. And even if the answer is yes or no, what will you do about it? Let's say drop year does affect negatively. Can you do anything about it? So the point here is that don't worry about those things which are not in your control. Extracurricular activities, poor academics, this and that. Let's focus on only those things which are in our control. Right. So that's why you need to you need to work very hard on your overall profile. Why MBA? Lots of good things that are there in you. So once you write your own life story, you will get to know that you have lots of good things in you. You need to work on that rather than worrying
What
about.
what sir is saying is, I'm sure all of us right now would have gone to buy things, bought something, and come back and realize we made a mistake. Right? The only reason we bought that thing was because the salesman was really good. iPhone became an iPhone because Steve Jobs believed it would be an iPhone. Similarly, when you're going for an interview, please understand the best picture that you'll be able to present is what you are able to see for yourself, right? So focus on that picture because that is what you're going to sell. All of us have shortcomings. There will be some or other loophole in our profile, in the way we speak, in what we do. That is bound to happen. Humans are like that. Right now, focus on what you can sell rather than what you have to hide.
Great.
Hello, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir.
Sir, actually, in last year, I had a call from IIM Bodh Gaya, and I prepared that general questions like why MBA, my introductions, and whatever I learned during my engineering, and whatever work experience I had prepared a lot for that, and I read a lot about IIM Bodh Gaya. But what they asked me is, tell me about IIM Rohtak. So I was completely blind at that moment. I couldn't speak for a minute about that question. So, how to tackle such kind of questions during
Not
interview?
not all questions test your knowledge. Some test your presence of mind as well. Whatever you read about Bodh Gaya, half of it would be true for IIM Rohtak as well. You just had to change Bodh Gaya to Rohtak, right? Again, these are questions not aimed at asking you the importance of Rohtak or IIM Rohtak. They are questions that are aimed at analyzing how well you manage the situation and pressure. Typically, in these situations, take a deep breath, think of 2 3 points, and then launch your answer. And it is important to disconnect because if you're connected, that pressure starts to show on your face. Right? So disconnect, think of 2 3 lines, and then start. Right, Gaurav?
Okay.
Priyadarshan has
Or
written a question. Just a second, I'm just taking up a question. Priyadarshan says that there's a large discrepancy in sectional scores. 2/3 of my score is VARC. Although I will still clear. Sorry, if you're clearing all sections, it will not be a problem. There are hundreds of examples. Kishle, I've repeatedly been I've shared that example with you. Out of 109, he scored 66 in VARC. He is in the second year of FMS right now, so that will not be a problem. It will not come up in the interviews for sure.
Right,
Go
right.
ahead, take something.
Okay, so
Sir,
please,
can I?
please.
Sir, I am working in my startup for last 2 years. Since then, what I have learned from my older siblings that they were like never share your own startup experience in GDPI round. So is that correct? It will create a positive impact or negative impact? My startup is recently recognized by DPIIT. So recently we receive
Why?
a lot of sorry
It has been recognized by.
DPIIT, Government of India,
Okay,
as
okay.
a startup. Yeah.
Again, the problem here is if you are involved in a startup that you are managing, how will you take out time for academics in the college? Uh, when you are in an IIM, academics are not 5 days a week; they're 24/7. You will be involved in some or the other activity. When we do go to our college, coming home happens maybe twice a year, and that too if we are lucky, right? So if you are involved in something else, you will have to take a call of whether you do this or that. I mean, that is the primary concern that I have. There are students who had startups, they were done with their startups or moved on, and then they went for colleges. Again, I can share a lot of examples like that with you. But if you have a running startup, you will be required to invest your time there as well. Your academics will suffer for sure, and that could be a problem.
So currently, actually, I just need to give more, not just more than an hour actually, because majorly my whole business is in automation right now. So I
Again,
need
I'm telling you
this.
my concern. I'm telling you my
Okay.
concern. If you tell me this is happening, this will be my concern. Apart from
So
that, even last
yeah.
year I remember there's this student from IIT. I'm forgetting his name. So he had a couple of startups which had whatever they were done or whatever you say. He shared those experiences. He talked about the startups and his experience, and he got into IIM Ahmedabad. He had a pretty good score as well. I mean, not to uh, neglect that, but yeah, he got into IIM Ahmedabad, so it wasn't a problem.
Okay,
Okay.
Naman Kothari.
Thanks.
ठीक ठीक ठीक. Great. Okay. So people, Uh, any other like major concern here, Priyadarshan, Irshad? Sir, apart from reading about my hobby, past academics and newspapers, is there anything else I should do? See, people, in the coming days, you should primarily focus on the other exams that you are writing if you have filled the form. In addition to that, I think you should immediately start with, if you are already a working professional, there is no need to do much, but start working on the basic interview questions. Start working on some of the graduation stuff. Go back and check the experiences of people. And we are also launching a WAT PI program. I would be sharing the entire session plan with you people so that the very first session of our WAT PI courses maximize your profile potential. So MPP is the name of the first, the first session that we have kept. Maximize profile potential primarily means that everyone will bring in their set of answers to certain questions that we would be asking them to fill. And we would be trying to assess you and completely in the sense that how different you are from the rest. See, what we believe in is that every individual is different. He has different problems, different strengths, different weaknesses. So you have to first look at yourself in the sense that what are the things I can actually encash in the interview. Apart from that, of course, start reading the newspapers, start following the current affairs, go through the important headlines and do some Googling. That has to start from today itself because you cannot keep on postponing it. There is no need for you to go in very detail of everything because even if there is, let's say, questions in the interview on current affairs, they would be very basic questions. I mean, someone like me would ask, okay, so if there is a conflict going on between Israel and Hamas, what do you know about Hamas? So if someone has some basic common sense, that person will say, okay, Hamas is what is Hamas? I mean, if you don't know Hamas itself, then I would say that you don't give much regard to what is happening around you. But if you know, okay, this Hamas word is because Palestine and Israel was carved out of Palestine, and then this Hamas became a sort of organization that was launching that was fighting against Israel because the organization feels that these people have taken away their land. So, funded by certain Arab states and certain Islamic states, Hamas is this kind of organization. Some people call it as terrorist organization. So, if you give this much, I understand that, okay, you have been following things. I would not be asking you very deep into all this because it is not a test in which you are showing your expertise on foreign relations or international relations. So please understand that going through the headlines and the basic overview of the events would be good enough to see you through in the current affairs and GK stuff. So start from today itself. I think 1 hour of reading is enough, sir. 1 hour of this kind of a thing.
See, sir, when I was a student, when I was preparing for the first time, I remember my first mock interview. So I walked in and they realized how ignorant I was about the world. And they asked me the population of the world. I started with 100 because big numbers start with 100. And then I was not sure whether I should say a million or a billion. So I started with 100 million something. That is how bad I was, right? But again, the point is preparation. Understand what is relevant to you, prepare on that, and it should work out. Sir, I'm just picking up a question here. Kanan says, I'm a mechanical engineer, 2 years of work experience. Will I be asked in academics? Kanan, be 110% sure you would be asked in academics for sure. Again, not to test your knowledge, but to see how you manage pressure. Right? I am a stutter. Okay, not a problem. This is not something that is under your control. It is completely fine as long as you're able to communicate properly. This question has been answered. Again, chances of conversion as far as we are concerned, you have 100% chances. I mean, that is not a question that can be answered per se, right? Yeah.
There is a So there is
Sorry.
a question here. It says that at what earliest can we expect old IIM interviews to happen so I can plan my preparation accordingly? I think the old IIMs interviews will begin from the first week of February because I mean you cannot see it goes on for a long time. So some people might have the interviews in the
April.
March, some people might have interviews in the very first week
It,
of February.
because it goes from city to city, it starts as early as February, as sir is saying, and the latest it can happen in April, right? So be prepared for the eventuality of first, second February.
Great. So I think that's enough, people. Any other question? Anyone of you question? Please let us know. And I would be sharing the VAT PI plan that we have. It is completely a personalized plan, so it is completely one-to-one. I would always say that people, if you're preparing for VAT PI, SOP, see, SOP here, this question was asked earlier as well. SOP is a statement of purpose. Primarily, I think you should write about the reason behind MBA. This is what it exactly means. But here, what happens is SOP, the number of words. For example, if I am Bangalore asks you to write SOP, and they will tell you that what exactly you should include in your SOP. So primarily it would be the motivations behind MBA and what is your long-term goal and how IIM Bangalore will help you in achieving that long-term goal. That can become the SOP of 500 words. So you have to be very, very good with what exactly is the motivation behind MBA. So
So
in
a
yeah,
three-step process, as I was saying, who you are, so that is why you want to do an intro, who you are, where you want to be, and how the course or the college helps you. 1, 2, 3, your SOP is done.
right. Correct. That is precisely what it means. SOP means statement of purpose. It means simply why MBA.
Hmm.
There is one question. He says, if asked at the end of the interview, do you need to know more about your institution or do you have any questions? What should be the answer? So, do you have any questions or what do you need to know more about our institution? Uh, See, this kind of question you can prepare while you're preparing for the interview. I mean, at this point of time, this is too early to prepare. I mean, are there any questions? If you think that there are any questions you have in your mind, you can definitely ask, or else there is no need to, because the interview verdict is almost decided by the time this question is asked. So there is no need to worry about
I
this.
will share a safe question. The safe question is, sir, what do I need to do over the next few months before I join the college? Right? That is the safest question. If you have nothing to ask, just ask this. They will realize that you have no idea and walk off. Better than saying, no, I don't have a question.
So,
But
so keep
yes,
this in mind. Better than saying I don't have a question, you should say, so what are the things I should do before I join the college?
that's it. So at least I am prepared for what you have to say. So I could not think of a question which is right. But again, as sir was saying, this is
Hmm.
something that will probably be guided by your interview. And again, if there is a question, it will be very college specific. So that should be a question that you should prepare while you are going for an interview. You cannot be ready for every college, but a generic question would be this.
There is
Sir, another question has come up. Can I impart emotional tone to my answers? Uh, don't I think don't be emotional. I mean, see, there could be hardships that we have faced in our life. As long as you have not been, as long as you have overcome those problems mentally and emotionally, only then bring up those problems. Sometimes what happens is you start off something which you are emotional about and you break down in the interview. That is not something that you want to happen. So only bring up something that bring up a sticky area only when you are emotionally over it or you have completely emotionally overcome that situation.
correct, correct. So don't deliberately try to impart emotional tones to
Yeah, I
your.
mean, this is not Indian Idol, so that will not
This
help.
is not acting going on because see, counterfeit is easily detected. Please
Hmm.
understand this. These people are very smart, so you should be rather, I would say, dispassionate and very objective, and you should look matured. See, understand people. The moment you become emotionally vulnerable in a situation, it reflects immaturity from your side. So that also might go against you. So it is better to show that you are mature in control of your emotions. Uh, that is what TK. So, people, to begin with, I think, is this, should we call off this now, sir, or do you
I
have
think yeah,
anything?
I hope you've been able to answer your start questions, as in we have been able to at least show you the way ahead. And as sir was saying, we have the plan ready where we will try to make this process as personal as possible for you guys. Sitting down with you, understanding what your individual requirements are, helping you shape up your answers, and then going forward. So I think most of the
So
questions
there are
now would be.
so there
Hmm.
are two more questions that people have
Hmm.
asked. To what
Hmm.
extent does group discussion play a role these days?
Most of the places group discussion as it is gone, right? IIMs were the first colleges to drop group discussions. So not many colleges have a group discussion in any ways in today's time. But yeah, again, we will be doing things for that as well. Don't worry.
See, very few colleges will have group discussion, if at all there is group discussion, because all the IIMs, new and old, in fact, even SIBM also has gotten rid of group discussion. So group discussion has almost become obsolete now. And since post-COVID times, the interview process has gone online in many colleges. They give you the option to choose online, offline interviews. So I think that there is no need to worry much about group discussion. If you have prepared very well for your interview and VAT, I think group discussion becomes just a sort of, place where you show your communication skills. See, it would not be a big challenge, first of all. And secondly, if it is a sort of a challenge, I would say that you just need to contribute whatever inputs you need to give, and I think that is it. So it's just like another treat it like another question answer session rather than thinking much about it. There is here this question, sir, is distance learning in my graduation can it hamper my interview? So this question has come from one student. He says, I have distance learning. Will it hamper my interview?
See, technically, no, it should not, because if distance learning was a problem, the form would have said people from distance learning should not apply. But if you were in a distance learning program, then it is assumed that you had time on your hands since you were at home. So if you are able to share some things that you were doing while you were at home, the time that you were saving by not going to college, that would be a good idea. To say that you're just doing a distance learning program might look as if you've missed out on professional experiences per se. So just take care of that. Otherwise, it should not be a problem.
Correct. I mean, distance per se should not be a problem. Of course, if the knowledge that you have acquired is completely next to nothing, then that can be a problem. So more than the word distance, I think what what you have taken from that distance, that is more
That is important. Then Gaurav says in an interview, I've been asked history and geography questions. I'm not aware of that question. What should I answer that question? Gaurav, in one of my first IIM Ahmedabad interview, I was asked, the professor wrote 10 city names and asked me to arrange them from east to west. I had not heard two or three of those city names. I did not know that they are cities. In my first IIM Cal interview, for some reason, the professor asked me whether I had a girlfriend or not, right? So my understanding of these questions is, when you are not giving anything solid to the professor to ask, invariably anything will come up, right? And then it is about you being smart about those questions and doing the best of to your ability. I remember in the SIBM interview, I was asked, okay, how did you come to Pune? I said I came on a train. So she's okay, tell me all the rivers that you crossed. I was like, ठीक है, क्या बोलूं? But again, you sit down and think, there could have been some answer, at least some thought process could have been shared. So make sure that you have solid things to discuss in your profile, in your answers. There are seeds from where you can direct the interview, and that is what we will try to do while we are helping you shape your answers, so that it does not take a course which is unexpected, right?
Yes, I would like to add something here. See, people, many of us feel that the answer has to be always, factually correct. Sometimes the answer can be funny, they can be witty,
Hmm,
they can be smart. So,
absolutely.
I mean, see, if someone tells you that you came from Faridabad to Pune on train and how many rivers you crossed, I was so much absorbed in preparing the interview questions that I did not notice what was going outside.
Yeah, that is what I said. But that's what I'm saying, right? I
Right.
never said I did not answer questions. I answered all of the
Correct.
questions. So
It
again, the
all
idea
depends.
is you have to be smart on your feet.
You have to be smart on your feet. That is what you need to train yourself for. When I ask you a question, I don't want the answer. In fact, I'm not bothered about the answer. What I'm interested in is how you handle that situation, that awkward situation in which I put you in. So don't think that all the time questions are asked to you with the intention to get the answer from. It is the first assumption that you have to discard. Hannah, so there is someone who has asked, when will the GDPI class start and how is the fee and all? Well, the best thing about the GDPI class is that it is completely personalized. So it is based on per hour basis. That means if anyone is enrolling, he would be getting hourly input from our end. So if you say that, okay, what is 1 hour this? So 1 hour charges we have. You pay and then 1 hour we give you this session. Session plan is given to you. You can take any session, whatever you want. For example, if you have a mock interview on the 3rd of Feb and you know that there is no one to take your mock interview, you can reach us and we'll take your mock interview. And you will have to pay only for that 1 hour. So there is no need to pay in bulk amount, because we believe that VAT PI is something that should not be done in hundreds of people, in a group of 100. It is a completely one-to-one plan. It's completely one-to-one program. We need to work on you. That is very important. So if someone puts you in a class of 100 students and starts giving you VAT PI input, they are simply imparting knowledge. In VAT and also in PI, there is no need of so much of knowledge. What you really need is how to handle the questions and how to direct the interview. That is only possible if you work on yourself. And if there is someone to help you to work on yourself. Correct? There's a difference between giving X amount to time IMSCL here and there and putting there in a group of thousands of hundreds of students and preparing for VAT PI. That is also preparation, but not the kind of preparation that is going to really help you. Okay, so I will announce that in all the groups, maybe by tomorrow evening, and you will get to know about the entire plan. So it's very much affordable, very different. You can take things in hourly basis, and there is no need to pay in one time. You can pay it in pieces. Like, for example, if you feel that you need 2 hour session from us in this month, you can take 2 hour sessions, have a work plan. Next month, you can again take 2 hour session. And as and when you have your interviews, you can take sessions from us. So you are not paying in one bulk, huge amount. That is one very good thing with this VAT PI package. And I have realized over the years that VAT PI is something that you should have it one-to-one completely personalized, no interference, one-to-one, so that you can work on all your problems. Okay. So this is from Shamik Das. Shovik has asked a question. Being from a unique course, I find myself explaining to everyone and what my course is all about. Should I prepare? So, Acha, I know that there is one student here. He is one of our CAT students. I think he is from Fisheries Technology, if I'm not wrong, Shovik, right?
Very nice.
Fisheries Technologies is the graduation. So I think from the graduation diversity point of view, I think you should get calls from all the IIMs if possible. Because Fisheries Technology is something I haven't heard of. Yes, what is your take on that, sir? Yeah, he says it is.
Again, the
Sorry,
part of
it
the
is
students.
Bachelor's of Fisheries. So Shovik he has corrected me. He says
Hmm.
my graduation stream is Bachelor of Fisheries.
Again, in the interview, I'm sure for some of the interviews, a good amount of time will be spent in telling the interviewer what he has learned and what has happened. So that is, I think, a boon in disguise. One question you are almost certain of, that you will spend some airtime explaining what you've studied, right? Beyond that, it becomes a part of your story. So, how from fisheries you want to get into this MBA training, what you want to do after that, that story will be the critical part.
Right. So even if you mention the names of all the subjects that you have learned, I think you would have impressed the panelists. It would be so unique and different for them. They would be happy to know.
Absolutely. I mean, it actually could be a boon in disguise.
It could be a boon in disguise, because this is something different and you can speak a lot.
Yeah.
You should always learn to play on the ignorance of your interviewers.
Now fisheries, as in so many words are coming into a pink revolution, this and that. So many aspects that can be brought up. I mean, just focus on the positive, man. A lot can be done with this.
Okay, so Satya has a question. He says, sir, there are 3 different courses you have mentioned on the website. See, they are primarily the same. One course is per hour. You pay for every hour that you take the input. The other course is for 6 hour input. So if you think that you will not pay for per hour, you will pay for complete 6 hour package. You can pay for 6 hour package, or you can pay for a 10 hour package. The only difference is that if you pay for 6 hour, you will get some less amount per hour. And if you pay for 10 hour package, the amount still goes down. That is the only difference. The input is the same. So input in the same means what? Hourly package means there are 8 sessions and you can pay for each of them in an hourly basis, depending upon as and when you need them. If there is a 6 hour package, then you pay me in one go, and therefore the amount goes down little, but the same kind of session you will get. So there is a only difference, that either you want to pay piece by piece, session by session, or you want to pay it in, let's say, bulk of 6 session or 10 session. So 1 hour, 6 hour, 10 hour package. You can make that 10-20 also if you want later. That's the only difference. But the session plan is the same for everyone. Okay, I hope this is Satya Sai's question. He has asked that there are 3 VAT PI courses and how they are different. They are the same. In only the first case, you pay per hour. for every service that you take. In the second case, you pay in bulk for 6 hours. The price slightly goes down and we commit 6 hours to you. In the third category, we commit 10 hours to you and you pay for 10 hours one go. So it's a very nice program. I will just share everything with on the group, and we would be kicking off as early as possible, depending upon who shows the interest.
I think there's one question that we missed. I'm just picking it up. I have difficulty explaining certain situations to the people on the opposite side. What advice would you give me to improve this? Prepare. Prepare for as many situations that you might have to explain. It is as simple as that. That is why the preparation is happening in the first place, right? So
I will
therefore,
tell you something, people. I have observed this over the many years, that when you are not prepared, you take too much time and too many words to answer. And that is the worst thing that can happen to someone in an interview. When you take too many words and when you take too much time is scarce. If I ask you, tell me something about yourself, and you're going round and round and round, and you don't have the answer, I feel that I should cut you down and go to the next question. Many people, they don't have proper answer for why MBA. And why they don't have proper answer? Because they haven't prepared for it. So preparation shows that you have taken the entire thing very seriously. When you're not prepared, it simply shows that you have not taken it very seriously. And that leaves a very poor impression. That means you don't give a damn as to who I am. So please do prepare for interviews.
it is always easier to conduct a 1 hour class than make a 10-minute recording. Because if when you have all the time in the world, you can do anything. You can take pauses, you can digress, you can talk about this, you can talk about that. But when you have to do it precisely, making sure that the interest is not lost, there has to be a lot of preparation that has to go in. So when we make videos for a 10-minute, 7-minute video, it actually takes more time than the time that we take to take a 1 hour class, right? And that is what will happen with your preparation as well.
Preparation is very important.
Yeah. If you ask why MBA, you can sit down and speak for an hour. Some of it will make sense, but no one will give you that time. It has to be a precise delivered answer, right? And that is what the preparation is all about, right?
Sure. Okay, people, I think it's almost 1 hour now since we started, and it was a great pleasure speaking to you, Rahul. So you have been so much precise with your answers and right on the money. The students have been really very patient. They have been here since a long time, almost 1 hour. They never attended 1 hour session for sure.
Well, good to see the enthusiasm.
So good
Thank
to
you
see
very
that.
much, guys.
And we will be starting with our WAT PI program, people. So it is completely personalized. That is not that once you sit with us, there are 10 people around you. So this is how we are different from the others, because we don't want to charge you X amount of money and then put you in a group of 100 people and then utter all kinds of nonsense common to everyone. There is no need to pay. You can get those kind of knowledge stuff at many places free of cost. But when you're working on someone one-to-one, that takes time and commitment. Okay. So I would be announcing the WAT PI program by tomorrow evening or latest by day after tomorrow. And all those who are interested in beginning with us in the very first, I would suggest that you take 1 hour slot from us and see your experience. And after that, you can then take it to the next stage. So I will announce everything in a few days. Yes, mock interviews are there in the hourly program. Hourly program means that if you take 1 hour if you take hourly program from us, we would be interviewing you for half an hour and half an hour feedback, so that you need to work on those shortcomings. So that way, what happens is mentoring is going on hand in hand along with the interview. Okay. Thanks a lot, people. It was amazing talking to all of you.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks a lot, Rahul, sir.
Nice.
Good night, people. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Take care. Bye. Bye. Bye.